Well, this is the second time recording this. You can see there are already apples in here. I just recorded it about probably 2 minutes ago and then realized I didn't turn on the microphone. I added the apples. This is all 12 pounds of them. I took a gravity reading, and the gravity reading showed that we were at 1.03, which is a little bit below what I wanted in the timeline of adding this stuff. So it's okay. We're going to let this set, and we'll see. Hopefully the yeast will go ahead and start eating the sugars from not only the honey, but also some of the apples. I don't know how much flavor profile we'll lose through fermentation, but I do know I'm going to have to go through and punch the cap with this, which means that you push down the fruit to help us, to make sure there's room for the yeast to, shoot out their gases as they go. So I'll be doing that. I'll be back with some updates soon. I don't know. Let's find out what happens.
All right, here we are. It's been about about 3 weeks. I had a little contraption here that I used to keep my apples down. I put a couple airlocks, or bunches, whatever we call them, and then I put my lid on top, and that made another lid that pushed down the apples the whole time. So they basically submerged the entire time that this was finishing fermenting. So I think that worked out well, and that now these apples have been fully submerged. Maybe their flavors got imparted well enough. I'm just going to move this to the side, and we're going to go ahead and move this into a new container today. So what's going to happen, I got to clean my mess here in a second. I'm going to take and move from this container down into this one. I don't have a glass carboy. I wish I had a glass carboy. I would much prefer putting this into a glass carboy as opposed to a plastic bucket to age for any amount of time in. However, my 5-gallon glass carboy and my 6-gallon glass carboy are both being used. Therefore, I don't have an option. I've already sand and sanitized everything. That's easy. I'm not even going to pull like the apples off the top. Literally what I'm going to do is just put my auto siphon through here, and I am gambling that I'm probably going to have sediment to deal with anyways, so I'm going to get as much as I can out of this. It's just filling up like this right now. You can see it going, and we're going to finish moving it over, and then I think I'm going to get a quick taste test to see what it's like currently, and then I'm going to add, there they are, I got a couple cinnamon sticks. One of my favorite meads I've made is the apple cinnamon mead. Many of you know this. And I'll be putting a couple cinnamon sticks in. Considering this is about 5 gallons of mead after the apples, or before the apples, yeah. The 3 cinnamon sticks, yeah, basically like 2.5. One of them is pretty broken. Should be plenty. The cinnamon flavor goes a long ways. So I'll be back in a moment when this is finished moving over, and then we'll try it. Okay, so while we're waiting, this is still moving over or getting moved over. I'm going to go ahead and take a gravity reading, and our goal is to see, of course, where it landed. I haven't checked it since it started fermenting, and I'm hoping that it fermented all the way out, and it looks like it did. There's a couple bubbles, but I can see through the side here. 1.0000. So we are currently at, leveled out, which means we've hit our max percent ABV currently, unless we add more sugars. And I don't plan on adding any more sugars. There might be a little bit of sugar in the cinnamon sticks, like only a slight amount, but not enough to actually do anything about it. So let's get a taste test. I'm going to pour a little bit of this into a glass. Okay, let me give you my expectations before I even taste it. It's going to taste yeasty. I can say that for sure. I'm hoping that there's apple flavor present because of the apple juice we put in, as well as all the apples we put in. And then I believe there'll be a honey character there, but I think the biggest flavor overall is going to be yeast, because this is still a fresh fermentation. The yeast were living on those apples, and when I moved them over, the yeast are now in here. They'll drop down, blah, blah, blah. You probably know how this works. So let's get a quick taste test. Wow. Not as yeasty as I thought. It's definitely very, very dry. Yeah, it's really dry. it's like a cider. It tastes like a cider if you carbonated it, but like a very not sweet cider. It's definitely gonna need some back sweetening. It's just a little bit tart for me, so I think there's gonna be a little bit of a change in my plan. It's a little too dry. You get the apple taste, which is nice. You get appley taste. It's just not sweet enough, and I don't want it to be super sweet. I'm not the biggest fan of like a super sweet mead, but I definitely want it to be a little sweeter because I plan on giving this over to people. A little chunk of apple in it. That's fun. I definitely plan on giving this to people, and I want them to like it. And generally, a little bit of sweetness helps with that. So, yeah, gonna need some honey, but that's okay. I think my alfalfa blossom honey that I currently have in here is gonna work really well for it. So let me finish moving this over. Then we'll talk about adding those sticks, cinnamon sticks in, and stabilizing because we're gonna have to back sweeten some other things. All right, we finished moving it over. That's a lot of apples there at the bottom. That's about up to there worth of apples. So we have, there's a lot of space taken up by that. This right here is my 6.5 gallon fermenter, not glass, plastic fermenter that's almost full. We probably have 5.5-ish gallons, almost, I would say 5.5 comfortably. And the next step, I'm gonna throw these apples out. I don't really have any use for them. Not gonna bake with them. They've been basically preserved in alcohol, so I guarantee you they don't taste very good. I have no use for them. So I'll throw them out, feed them to somebody. Next step, this is gonna be the next steps, I should say. I wanna impart some flavors. So first flavor I want to impart and add into this mix are cinnamon sticks. So I have 3 cinnamon sticks here, and I've made an executive decision in this moment to only add 2. So we get a little bit of cinnamon flavor. I think the cinnamon flavor will add over time. I can go ahead and add them like this because we have alcohol content to protect them. I think it'll be fine. So I'll leave them there. I just basically set them into this mead. Now, we also need to talk about the step after this. This is gonna sit with the cinnamon sticks for, let's say, a week or 2. I'll probably taste it as we go along. I do wanna back sweeten, and I don't wanna back sweeten when the yeast are active. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do 2 things today. Cinnamon sticks and stabilize the mead. If you've never stabilized a mead, that means you use potassium sorbate and potassium metabisulfite, or Camden tablets as we call them sometimes, to stabilize the mead, which means the yeast stop fermenting on anything and generally are halted from any further possible fermentation. So what I'm gonna do is gonna add all of my white powders to do that here. So let me show you what that means. All right, here I have my potassium sorbate, like I said, a stabilizer. That just basically slows down the yeast, makes them not really be able to function anymore. Potassium metabisulfite's also a stabilizer, but it also is a preservative. I don't know why that word didn't come to me. Preservative, so this will help make the mead last longer. Generally, they last long anyways, but this will let me bottle it for longer, and I can leave it for 10 plus years. So I need, on here, it says 1/4 teaspoon for 5 gallons. So we don't need a ton of this. Really, we only need 1 little spoonful, 1 little 1/4 teaspoon. So we're gonna add that straight in. Now I am doing this because I don't plan on actually going back and trying to carbonate this naturally. I could go back and force carbonate, but I don't have the utility to do that. So if I wanted to carbonate it, I would want to make sure that the yeast are still alive so I could add some sugar and then they'd carbonate in the bottle. You might have seen just a little activity there. That's from the yeast going, what the heck is happening? This ain't cool, dude. Now we're gonna add the stabilizer, which is 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. So we're gonna assume we have 5 gallons here. We need, what is that? 2.5 teaspoons. So, let's go ahead and get that. We're also going to see some activity from this. Okay, so we have our potassium sorbate and metabisulfite in here. Mix it in some. Do I think there's any issue with adding this with the cinnamon sticks? No, I think it's okay. The next step will be to close this down, and I'm actually going to just let it sit like this for probably 2-3 weeks, maybe a little while longer, and taste test it along the way to see how the cinnamon stick flavor is imparting. If the cinnamon stick flavor is imparting well, I might go ahead and rack it off into a new thing. But because we have stabilized it now, and eventually I'll cold crash it, which means to put it in a cold area, things start to settle down, and at that point the mead begins generally to become clear, which is nice. After I go through those steps, I'll be able to back sweeten with my honey without any worry of re-fermentation, which means that all the sweetness I'm adding will actually be added to the mead instead of just fermented on. So for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on this, put it away. Video is not done though. I'm gonna complete this mead because I want to teach you how to make a Cyser, which is what we're making right now, an apple mead. So I'll be back with next step of probably racking and putting some honey with it soon. All right, and we're back. This has been sitting with the cinnamon sticks for like 3 weeks? I don't know, just a little while. I have just taken and moved it from basically another 6.5 gallon fermenter, which was in this one right here, and I racked it into this new one, and I used a, you can see down there, maybe, oh, yep, down there, that's all the yeast and stuff. And then I also used this funnel that has a grate at the end to really just try to make sure I didn't have any extra apples. So next step, real simple. We're gonna try and finish this hopefully in the next couple days. I have a little sample of it. Now I'm gonna get a taste of it, and then we're gonna add a little honey to back sweeten it, because I'll go and spoil for you. I've taste tested this before, and it's a little too dry for my taste. But here's this without any honey in it. It's like, definitely like, ooh, that cinnamon's popped more. It's like apple juice. It's very, obviously cidery. This is a Cyser, so it's very cidery. It tastes very appley, which is great. The cinnamon is just enough. It's just there enough that's like, it's perfect. It just needs a little sweetness to kind of back, to support it. I don't want this to be super dry. This is something I'm going to share with a lot of friends, so they're generally not sweet people, but like, you know, the sliver between dry and semi-sweet. They're kind of in that range. So I want to add a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is, that's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add, this is from Bumble's Bees. This is, they sent me some honey. Really nice people. Thank you for that. I'm going to add just a couple drops, and we're going to see, with just a couple drops of honey, if that's enough to back sweeten this. Of course, I have a spoon. And if this is enough, basically what we're going to do is not use the Bumble's Bee honey, but we're going to end up using my Alfalfa Blossom honey to go ahead and back sweeten this. So, ooh, spilling it. Let me stir this up real fast. Okay, so this is with just a little bit of honey. The issue with back sweetening in this case is like I don't have exact measurements, so I'm going more by taste. So this is just to see if this is the sweetness, character, level, all that stuff that I want. Ooh. Yeah, that's good. Perfect like blend of sweetness to cinnamon flavor to apple flavor. Obviously, I've done like a carbonated Cyser before. It's pretty good. I prefer non-carbonated, to be honest. That's great. I definitely want a little sweetness, which what I've just learned is that I just need just a little, couple drops, so to speak. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go and guess that I'm going to need probably for this 5 gallon bit, I'm going to need probably, was it probably a half a pound? No, maybe a quarter pound of honey. We're going to first, multitasking here. Here we go. This thing weighs 46.2 pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and tear my scale out. And now, there's a scale underneath here, I don't know if you can see it. We're going to go ahead and start adding, I'm going to start with a quarter pound of honey. I think that could possibly be enough. But we will add a quarter pound in, and then we'll stir it all up, of course. And after that, we'll taste test. So the hard part with adding honey this way is that this thing doesn't pour super well, so I just got to go kind of slow. Let's see. Looking for, oh, okay. I should have been on the ounces, grams section. We're at 0.7 pounds of honey. Woo! All right, so let's hope that I needed more than a quarter pound of honey, because I have more than a quarter pound. So let me stir this up real fast. Okay, so we've gone ahead and stirred it up. This is a degassing wand with, of course, the drill attached. So now the next step is going to be, I'm just going to dump that in there. That was my dry version. We're going to get a little sample of this one. And I'll make sure to take a gravity reading too of this before it all gets all bottled. So this is with some sweetness. This is with 0.7 pounds of honey. A little more than I expected. And I think that's okay, because the honey is not really that prevalent. It's there, still a little too dry. I think I added 0.7, I'm gonna add 0.4 more. So about half of what I just did to that. So I'm gonna go and do that real fast, and then we're gonna see if that is what we needed. All right, mixed it all in. 1.1 pounds of honey to back sweeten this so far. Ooh, spot on. Not like, it's not super sweet like apple juice, but it's got a little sweetness to back support it. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of that. Man, that's got a good blend between sweetness, apple, that cinnamon. It's just enough in there to like get not quite in your face. I think that's the big thing with my previous one. It was very, very cinnamon-like. So this is a lighter version of this mead. And I want to remind you that this has been stabilized. Hopefully it's been actually stabilized so that whenever this honey won't be, fermented on again. So here's the next step. We're going to take and actually put the lid back on for about a day, and I'm going to watch the airlock and see if there's any activity. If there's any activity, that basically just means that the yeast are truly not dead, that they are still going to ferment some, which is not good, which means that all the honey we added just gets feasted upon. So I'm going to go ahead and put this lid back on, and then I'm going to put it away, and I'll see you in about 24 hours, and hopefully by that time I can actually take and bottle it into however many bottles I can get out of it. Oh, actually, I forgot to do one thing. Let me get a gravity reading. That's my big thing I forgot. Okay, so my gravity reading here shows that we are currently at, it was leveled out last time I looked, so 1.000. We are currently setting at roughly 1.05. 1.005. Not quite 1.01, which is fine. We've added just a little sweetness. We don't want it to be too sweet, because I think that would greatly affect the mead. So we're going to go ahead now, and like I said, and put this lid back on. I'm just going to pour this back in here. And then, hopefully in 24 hours time, we can go ahead and bottle it. So I'll see you in about 24 hours. All right, we're ready to bottle. So I've gone ahead and sanitized all my bottles here. I've got a ton of them. Don't know exactly how much I'll need with about 5 gallons of liquid. That's 60 beer bottles. Or I think it's like maybe 6 wine bottles per gallon. So we're gonna see how many bottles I get by the end of it. I'm using beer bottles. I'm using, these are basically double beer bottles. Basically almost wine bottles, bunch of wine bottles, a couple 375 milliliters. Excuse me. Anyways, you'll see in a moment, but I will be giving away a bottle of this, so stay tuned for that. Everything's been sanitized. I've gone ahead and done that. I have a spray bottle that I use to sanitize all my stuff, and of course, you know how this goes. Anyways, each bottle, I have this elevated so that it will actually flow easier. We're gonna get our first bottle going. Which is the hardest one every single time, basically. So I fill up each bottle, and then
after I fill each one, I'm going to go ahead and cap them and cork all of them that are, that need to be capped and corked. So I'll be back in a second. We'll talk about the giveaway, and of course, we'll take care of the rest of the video. So I'll be back in a few. All right, so I've finished bottling them all. I have roughly, let's see, 28, 33 beer bottles. I got 4 wine bottles, 5 370, 387 milliliters. I think that's what those are. I don't know if that's the right math. And then I got 3 of these basically bombers. So I'm gonna be giving away one of these bottles. I'm gonna be giving away one of these. I think it's 3, I don't remember the exact math, but let me tell you how you can win. So I'll be giving away one of these bottles. This is roughly what my labeling looks like. You can kind of see. I'll put nicer labels on these. For now, I'll put a temporary label. So I don't get them confused because I have a bunch of stuff going on all at once. And the big thing is I want to make sure and not get things mixed up. So I'll put some temporary labels on until I finish these and get them printed out and stuff. But you can win this bottle. The way you can win, you need to be a Man-Made Mead subscriber on YouTube. You need to go down in the comment section and say something like, hey, I want to win that bottle. And you also need to follow me on Instagram or the Facebook because that's where I post the winners. So you will know if you won. Real simple. And I love doing those giveaways. So go check that out. But this has been a lot of fun. If you've never made a Cyser, definitely worth it. I really like my Cyser recipe because I think I'm perfecting it at this point, but also adding things like cinnamon and extra flavors just take it to the next level. So I would highly encourage you to try making a Cyser if you've never done it before. I'd also encourage you, if you want, to go check out my other videos because I have a bunch more. You can see a ton of mead making content at this point. It's a lot of fun to do. And then of course there's other links down below. I have a website, there's a Facebook page, there's a Facebook group, there's a Patreon. All that stuff goes to support me. The big thing with making mead is that you need to try to have a good method and of course make sure you're sanitizing everything. But just be patient. So these things are gonna have to age for a little while longer, of course, to be better because it's still a very young mead. And if you have any questions about the process like bottling that I skipped over, stuff like that, feel free to ask below or check out the video on my channel about bottling. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will be back with some more content very soon, maybe some more Cysers, some various things. As you can see behind me, I have got a ton of stuff happening, and that's just what you can see. There's even more stuff happening in these cabinets. So, stay tuned for more videos. See you guys next time, and cheers.